Good afternoon, morning, or evening to the almost 100 people that are watching us. And indeed, a great honor and a privilege to be nominated as a finalist. And I will endeavor to stick to my 6 minutes. We're very strict moderator, and I'm sure he'll cut me off. WIZZIT was formed in 2002 with a very strong mission to bank the unbanked of the world. And that mission is still as valid and relevant today as it was back in 2002. I'm going to use one slide, and I'm going to start at the bottom left-hand corner, where in order to prove a model that you could actually bank the unbanked people of the world using technology. I'd like to bring you back to 2002, and many of you, if you were around in that era, will know that there was no such thing as a smartphone. The only phones that were around were, in fact, feature phones. And we were adamant that we needed to have a technology that would work on all handsets. The interesting thing when we launched is that technology was never a barrier. And we launched in South Africa with a little bank called WIZZIT, its main cornerstones being affordability, availability, and accessibility. In the research that's been done all over the world, banks were intimidating. They're located in city centers. The bulk of the unbanked people are rurally located. Technology was something that people could use and to make simple payments. And we fought. We had discussions with regulators, was invited to central banks, UNDP, World Bank, banking associations around the world to do presentations at FATF to try and get an understanding that you didn't need physical banks in order to bank the unbanked. We're very proud of the fact that we led that drive utilizing mobile banking, and many others followed us since that time. That today we are represented across 4 continents, 15 different banks that use our services and have impacted the lives of around 15 million people. So it's very interesting to see what has been done. I think of concern is the fact that much work needs to be done, and you'll see from the photograph in my CV and that very kind introduction, this is not for the faint-hearted. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, but without passion and enthusiasm, you're not going to make any inroads. Just to touch on a couple of case studies, and one that we're very proud of in Central America, in Honduras, it is very much a public-private partnership where we have got the government in terms of the central bank. We have got the banks. We have got the mobile network operators in using their channels. We have got the merchants, particularly the SMEs, and we've got a FinTech WIZZIT that are all working together to digitalize payments. And here we've got an initiative that is responsible for the disbursement of social grants, payment of welfare and child grants to millions of people throughout Honduras. That program has been incredibly successful, so much so that we are fairly confident that it's going to go into its second stage, commencing in June, where we will be rolling out with even greater impact. And that product will include loans, in fact, to worthy recipients that the government will run. So that is indeed very exciting. If I now move across to the soft POS solution, often excluded in the discussion of the unbanked is the merchants. And without teaching anybody to suck eggs, you've got the issuing side, signing up people to use their digital accounts, and then you've got the acquiring side of the merchants. Not wanting to profit out of bad news, certainly the COVID pandemic made a massive impact and heightened awareness for digital payments. But what is often neglected are, in fact, the backbone of any economy, which is the small and micro merchants, the vast majority of whom only accept cash as a means of payment. We are very proud to be working with one of the leading banks in South Africa called ABSA. And I'll just play this video in the background. It's a leading Pan-African retail bank that have launched with the Tap to Pay product. And this is aimed specifically at the small and micro merchants. It has the added security of PIN, which the issuing bank can set, which builds trust and confidence. But what it means is that the merchant does not have to invest any money in hardware. They have no maintenance costs. They don't have to pay for paper rolls. Everything is done on their Android phone, which in fact most most merchants certainly have. And that is a very exciting project for us that we are busy launching with. The next project that I'd like to just touch on very quickly is one that we've launched with the Central Bank of Egypt for the VSLA. It is a program aimed at the unbanked women. It's women's savings groups. It will impact on the lives of 1.2 million people. And I just want to show you a very quick video here, which can play in the background, which has taken the concept of these women who get together, deposit money into a treasurer. That money is put in a box, essentially. We are digitalizing that whole process throughout Egypt, also using the Tap to Pay product to bank the merchants within those particular regions. So again, a great opportunity showing how public and private enterprises can work together. And we really are very excited and very proud of the initiatives that we have done in Egypt and see huge potential for this particular product.
Thank you so much, Brian. You're right on point. Actually, 5 minutes and just 8 seconds to spare. So thank you so much. I see you have one last slide. You want to take it in 8 seconds?
Just very quickly, yes. In terms of alignment, we are live, we are scaling. It adds huge value. I've illustrated some of the private-public dialogues that we're in, very focused on the women groups in Egypt and in other parts of the world, and other disadvantaged groups, which include obviously the unbanked and underprivileged families. So we need whatever help that we can get and look forward to working with you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Brian. Wonderful presentation, and thank you so much for sharing. I would open the floor to any of the judges that might have a question or reaction for you. So judges, you can signify by raising your hands or just unmute yourself and go ahead with your question.
Well, thank you. If I may then ask a question, Brian. So you've been operating since 2004. How many staff do you employ now?
A good question. Most of the staff is based in South Africa. We have a team of around 55 people, mainly engineers and developers. But in this virtual world, they can be based anywhere. Our chief growth officer is based out of Europe, our financial director based out of London, and then we have teams of agents and distributors in various parts of the world. So a team of around 50 to 60 people.
And can you tell me what the diversity percentages of your team, men to women?
Yes, good point. We've had a view of employing unemployed people in the business right since its inception. So we've given opportunities to people who may have struggled to get jobs, and we're very proud of that particular role that we play. We have 45% of our staff being female. We'd like that to increase. At one point in the WIZZIT Bank entity, we had 8,000 previously unemployed agents that were opening bank accounts within communities around South Africa. But those we wouldn't class as full-time people. They were commission-owned agents. Again, the majority of whom, in fact, were women and still are today.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you so much, Nasser. I see Giselle, you have your hand up.
Thank you very much, Brian, for this presentation. I have two questions. The first question is about onboarding of clients. How do you go about that? The second question is regarding a smartphone. We know that in Africa, many people do not have smartphones today. Does your solution enable customers to use, can your solution be used without smartphones? So I will be talking about the USSD code for some countries. It's just to make sure that your solution can go far in the rural area, can be used far in the rural area. Thank you.
Thank you. As mentioned very quickly, when we launched, there were only feature phones. So our solution was very focused on feature phones and USSD. And in fact, we have a partnership with MasterCard on issuing virtual cards utilizing the USSD platform. So it's very much core to what we do. Obviously, we have apps and all sorts of other applications for smartphones. The onboarding that you mentioned is critical, and that's where we really do need help from regulators. In many parts of the world, it was actually illegal, believe it or not, to open a bank account for an individual or a business if it wasn't under a fixed, structured, physical roof. Times have changed, but it's still this whole concept of branchless banking, that you can open accounts virtually. It needs to be digital, as much of it as possible. It needs to comply with the KYC rules, but one shouldn't be viewing KYC as a barrier to inclusion. And unfortunately, it is seen that way by many, and I don't have time to go into all of those details, and you as a regulator would understand that. So we enjoy working with regulators. I've never come across a regulator in any part of the world that has said the purpose of the regulation was in fact to prevent people from being banked. But we need to get that message out to the financial institutions and get them passionate and excited about banking the unbanked, because that is where the key lies. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Brian, for those responses, and thank you so much, Nasser and Giselle, for the exciting questions.